I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Hi, welcome to the Rawsome Truth. Today I've got Anthea Frances with me. She's over here in Chiangmai. She's been here for the last 5 days. I was lucky enough to meet her online and now in person, so it's absolutely been an absolute thrill for me. I love meeting online friends. And today I'm going to interview Anthea, so I'm going to take myself out of the footage and just interview Anthea, and we're going to talk about how she came into raw veganism, loving fruit, and her own personal eating addictions. So here we go. Hi Anthea, welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much for having me. I always feel really weird doing videos, but I'm just going to go with it.
Well, you don't look weird, you look perfectly normal and you look perfectly beautiful. So here we go. I'm going to first ask you, because your story is quite interesting, what brought you into raw veganism? Because you didn't come predominantly into fruit. You started as a gourmet raw vegan, and I want to ask you what brought you there, and then we'll talk about how you then came into fruit.
Yeah, for sure. So, gosh, my whole raw vegan journey, I think, started, I would say, about was when my kids were very young. So they're now 40, I would say about 13 years ago. My health has always been really, really bad. I was always a very allergic child, always on lots of antibiotics and medications. My skin was terrible. I had terrible acne as a teenager. Was always getting sick. Like, I would have a cold, then it would turn into a sinus infection, then that would last for 3 weeks, and then I would get another one, you know, and all my body systems were really struggling with life. And so about 13 years ago I was looking for an answer for that, really. I will talk about my food addictions as well, because I think they were hugely contributing to the mess I was in health-wise. You know, I had a lot of digestive problems from overeating, and as we know, overeating just affects people's health very powerfully. So 13 years ago I discovered more of a gourmet raw vegan. So I was into people like David Wolfe and Gabriel Cousins, and I had a lot of their books, and Frederick Paternotte at the time, who was actually more fruitarian than anyone else, really, but even he, you know, was had more gourmet sort of stuff. And I did it really strictly for 6 months, 100% raw. I was just in the kitchen all the time. I was making recipes. I was dehydrating things for pizzas, like meals that I would eat 3 days in advance, and sprouting, and it was very, very time consuming. I felt really good. I lost so much weight. Like, I was actually pretty underweight, I would say. I got down to, and I'm pretty tall, I'm 175 centimeters, and I got down to 58 kilos or something like that. So I was seriously very skinny, but I think I was also incredibly hungry, and that's why I broke it 6 months later. You know, we went to a wedding. I didn't realize how much food I would need to take. I took all these dehydrated things, and they just didn't sustain me, and I ended up eating chips, hot chips, and then that slid into mud cakes, and then I was just off again, and I could never get back to that 100% raw experience. Once I started eating pastries, my addiction just fully took off. And so it took me another 5 years of trying different things, to the point where my health just started deteriorating worse and worse, and I got incredibly bad digestive problems. I had reflux where I would wake up in the middle of the night in agony, and I'd be pacing the house and just not being able to sleep for 3 or 4 hours at night. Went to the gastroenterologist. He suggested either surgery or drugs for the rest of my life, and I wasn't having a bar of that. And in the back of my mind, I knew that the raw vegan diet had made me feel the best of anything I'd ever tried, but I just couldn't work out a way that I could sustain it. Anyway, in one of my midnight YouTube binge watching sessions, I came across Freely, and the fruit-based approach. And that just, a light bulb went on for me, and I just knew that that was something I could sustain. I could do that easily with 2 babies at home and working and all that kind of stuff. I didn't need to be preparing all this food. So I embarked on that, and I didn't tell anyone I was doing it, not even my husband, because I just knew they would think I was a freak. So I just kind of kept it to myself, and people just noticed me eating a whole lot more fruit and veg. And then after a couple of months, I was feeling so good. That's when I started telling people about it. So that was 6.5 years ago, coming up to 7 years, and even since then it's been a journey. You know, I haven't been 100% raw that whole time, because my food addiction has come up to bite me over and over again. And one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel and my blog was to keep me on the path. You know, I remember a raw food leader at the time, early on in my raw food eating days, said, start a blog, start a YouTube channel, that will keep you on track. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. No, it didn't. It didn't keep me on track. Not even having an audience helped me not binge. You know, I would go for 2-3 month stretches 100% raw, and then this weird kind of mental twist. I would have a thought like, I've been really good for a while, I can have, you know, some noodles or something like that. And usually it was something with flour in it, and that would trigger the full-blown addiction, food addiction back again. So over the last sort of 5 years, it's been real trial and error, working out what works for me and what doesn't. In the last 2 years, I would say I've made the most progress with my food addiction that I ever had in the whole time, and that makes me so happy. First of all, I should mention I'd been in and out of Overeaters Anonymous, I'd tried Food Addicts Anonymous, I'd tried Starch Solution, whole food plant-based, you know, Nutritarian, Joel Fuhrman. I tried all those different approaches, but none of them had ever stuck. And so more recently, I decided to do Bright Line Eating, which really honed in for me on the fact that some people are incredibly susceptible to the influences of flour and sugar and particular ways of eating. So for instance, grazing, you know, is something I really need to be careful with. I need to be quite specific about planning my meals, sitting down, eating a meal, having space in between my meals, and being very present to those sorts of things, and be in a supportive kind of group or program that helps me remember that I'm actually a food addict, and that if I eat all that other stuff, I'm going to trigger the cravings and the obsession again. So at the moment I'm following a very structured kind of approach where I plan my food, and I use a food scale to determine exactly how much I eat, and that's so that I don't overeat, but also so that I don't undereat. And I use my scale like a diabetic would use their insulin pump. Okay, I feel like it's my medicine. It actually helps me stay on track. And more recently, I've actually gone back to Overeaters Anonymous in a particular branch of it, I suppose, called A Vision for You, which is really all about developing the spiritual part, because food addiction largely is about the spiritual void that we're trying to fill when we're eating over the top of those painful emotions, or even any emotions really. Like, I can eat over the top of resentment, anger, excitement, you know, joy, anything really, boredom, you know, and I'm sure you guys relate to that a lot. So that is really helping me at the moment work through that stuff, and it's providing a real solution to that part of the disease, if you like, that mental obsession, that weird trick that gets me to think it's okay to have a bit of something that I don't normally eat. Thank you God, I'm abstinent today and have been for coming up to a couple of months now, and
well done.
I'm feeling very hopeful that this combination is actually really going to work for me long term. Yeah, so anyway, I feel like I've talked a lot there.
That's okay. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear your story, and it's a lot that I can relate to, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, because people joke about food addictions, but they're real. They are real, and for me, I've overcome a lot of addictions in my life, and the hardest addiction for me to overcome, and that's over alcohol and drugs and caffeine and smoking and everything else, is food, because we have to eat. I can abstain from all those other things, but I have to eat. So those triggers constantly come up in our lives. And it's something that even when you think you've got it under complete control, all of a sudden it's just some pit hole in your life, or a turn at the wrong time, or it could be even a happy moment, that moment of weakness, and all of a sudden you find yourself clawing your way back and saying, wow, how did that happen? And I think we can all relate to that, and I love that you shared the fact that you have this addiction, and it has been a constant issue in your life. And I most importantly, I love that you shared this, because so many people in the raw vegan movement think that raw is the answer to everything. And yes, nutritionally it's fantastic, it's brilliant, it makes you feel alive. But unless you can get those mental and those emotional triggers under control, and practicing, that spiritual side and that self-love and devotion that you need towards yourself, it is very hard to overcome those eating addictions. And that's why time and time again people say, I can't do it. So I really enjoyed listening to your story, and I'm sure many of the viewers will enjoy your story, Anthea. Would you be able to share your YouTube channel and your blog? And I will have the links below in the description for anybody, but just share it.
Yeah, so my blog is realrawnutrition.com, or you could just put /blog or whatever, you'll get it. And my YouTube is Anthea Frances Falkiner. It's a funny spelling of Falkiner. Jade can link you into that. And yeah, I have Instagram as well, which is Real Raw Nutrition. And I think that's about it.
Excellent. So look Anthea up. If you relate to her story, leave a comment below in the description. Give us a like on our video. If you like Anthea's story and you like hearing about food addictions, give it a like, and most importantly, love life and live free. Bye Anthea, thank you.
Thanks Jade.
I can see clearly now.